Science Comics, Coral Reefs, Cities of the Ocean. Chapter 3, The Coral Reef Ecosystem Explored. We've looked at a lot of general coral reef information so far. What type of animals corals are, what is their life cycle, how reefs are formed, where they're found. Now we're going to examine specific species of corals, as well as many other animals that inhabited reefs. All the information in this book comes from research. Data collected by scientists from hundreds of years ago have shaped our knowledge of the world around us, and above us and below us. Studying the information that has already been researched paves the way for future research and future scientists. Before we highlight individual species, let's take a look at the system we use to categorize animals and plants and fungi and so on. Remember those undefined characteristics that all cnidarians share? Radiosymmetry, tentacles, stinging cells. Classification is the system of grouping organisms by those undefined characteristics. Every living thing on this planet falls into specific categories in the system. Although sometimes a new organism is discovered that doesn't fit any of the categories, so a new one is created. The 7 categories arranged in a hierarchy: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Kingdom. I belong to Amelia. Other kingdoms include plantae, fungi, and a bunch of teeny tiny stuff. Phylum. There are 35 phyla, that's the plural phylum, in Kingdom Amelia. I belong to Chordata, and so do you. Class. Now that we're narrowing it down, everyone is starting to look a bit similar. All fish with bony skeletons fall into the same class. Arcebaceous. Order. There are over 45 different orders of bony fish, but I am proud to call myself Perciforms. Huh? It's like a family reunion in here. A family reunion of Gobidae, that is. Okay, now we're down to my closest relatives, Cropocentrus. In species, Centrus, Cropocentrus centrus to be exact. As a rule, genus and species are always written together, in italics for species or lowercase. But you can call me a yellow prawn goby, if that's easier. It's my common name. Just because 2 animals have a similar trait, it does not mean that they're closely related. You know my classification, but let's compare some other animals. Common name, human being, aka person, aka the author. Kingdom, Animalia. Phylum, Chordata. Class, Mammalia. Order, primates. Family, Hominidae. Common name, pillar coral. Kingdom, Animalia. Phylum, Cnidaria. Class, Anathozoa. Order, Scalaractina. Family, Dendrinidae. Phew, that's a lot of words. We're mostly going to focus on kingdom, Animalia, different phyla, individual species, and common names. The system was not created to make your science test more complicated. Classification offers a language and order that can be used by scientists worldwide. Having a universal system makes sharing data easier among the scientific community. While common names are often easy to remember, they vary from language to language, country to country, even state to state. So, back to corals. Let's apply what we know about classification to our cnidarian friends. We're going to take a look at some of the major group of corals. Each profile will feature species name, common name, additional information, polyp, and location. This way, you'll get to know some of the individual reef builders and how they relate to other organisms in the coral reef ecosystem. Mistratia cavemosa, great star coral. Mount and boulder corals are some of the chief reef builders. These species can grow to 5 feet, 1.5 meters in diameter. Orbicella fabulata. Mountainous star coral. The mountainous star coral can get even bigger, up to 30 feet, 10 meters across, and 15 feet, 5 meters high. Xerostria siderea. Sterlet coral. Another massive coral. Sterlet coral can grow to be up to 6 feet, 2 meters wide. Dipilura strigosa. Cementral brain coral. This coral can grow to be almost 6 feet, 1.8 meters in diameter. Diplura libibrithomis, groove brain coral. Have you figured out why we call brain coral yet? Musa ankylosa, spiny flower coral. Each of the circles are individual polyps. Acropa palmata, eghorn coral. This coral is another big reef builder. Branching corals grow faster than mount and boulder corals. Hortus vercata. Sadly, there's no branch-frequent coral. Sadly, there's no toe coral. Madaris liberalis, yellow pencil coral. While the short branches are small, the whole colony of this coral can reach several feet or meters in diameter. Malipona protuberculata. Encrusting core coral. This coral grows in plates and can cover huge portions of a reef. Argarcia fragilis, fragile saucer coral. Fragile saucer coral can be found under ledges and on top of the reefs. Tabastria coconate, orange cup coral. Cup corals are actually non-reef building and doesn't even have zooxanthellae, but they can be found in both deep, cold water and shallow, warm water. Fungia fungites, mushroom coral. Mushroom corals are solitary. This is a single polyp. Pleurokia sinuosa, bubble coral. Bubble coral inflates its polyps during the day to expose more zooxanthellae to sunlight. Order Acleonesia. Soft corals do not produce a calcium carbonate base like their hard coral cousins. Instead, soft corals make tiny shell-like structures called slides. These chlorites provide some supports, as well as a rough texture that acts as armor against predators. Gorgonians, aka sea whips or sea fans. I'm a big fan of being a gorgonian. Gorgonians are closely related to corals and can be found branching out on reefs all over the world. Millipora iconus, branching flower coral. This is not actually a coral, it is a hydroid. Hydroids are more closely related to jellies and live in large groups called colonies, but even more important, they sting a lot. Thanks for clearing that up. Now come closer so I can sting you. And that's just a handful of the over 6,000 known coral species. Let's meet some of the other nautical cnidarians. The anemones. Anemones can be found all over the reef, catching small prey with their stinging cells. Some fish have adapted to live in the anemone. They have a layer of muscus that protects them from stings. Sea jellies. This is a kind of umbrella term for anything in the ocean that is alive and jelly-like. Absiwas jelly, aka box jelly, aka cubosin. I've been called one of the mostly deadly stingers on the planet. Portuguese man of war here. I'm actually a colony of hydroids. I'm a moon jelly, and my stinging cells are so tiny they can't even sting humans. But let's not stop at cnidarians. There are countless other invertebrates that inhabit reefs. Phyllium, Porphyria, sea sponges. Sponges are filtered feeders. They take in ocean water through tiny pores and trap tiny food with hair-like structures called cilia. Giant bear sponge. Despite their many rope sponge, brown encrusting octopus sponge. Despite their many tiny parts, sponges can actually be quite large. Philium, flathead-mulex. You can just call us flatworms. And we're fabulous. Philium, Annelidae. Clamworm, feather duster worm, Christmas tree worm. I like to catch prey with my venomous jaws. I like to catch plankton with my bristles. I feel to feed